1 minute until showtime.
It's already counting down the time on there. It was totally off with the phone and the computer.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
There it goes. Yeah, it's already like 5 minutes off.
What?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes off already.
It's 5 minutes on?
I mean, it said on air, but it did go on air when this went on air.
Oh.
The time clock is messed up.
Thank you for tuning in to the Rhythm Network, with shows 6 days a week, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with shows such as The Rhythm Radio, Rogue Talk Radio, Just for the Crazy, Project Afterlife, Night Moves Radio, and Awakening the Unknown. And now, for your featured show.
And the guitar goes down for the tuning.
A tale of sunshine below, and the stars that twinkle light. In these times of night blues radio, we'll be moving to groovy music, hitting lots of words, and the interest. A time of art. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in. We're glad that you come to listen.
Good evening to another episode of Night Moves Radio. It's Thursday, September 7th, 8 o'clock here in the Amish land of Little Central Illinois, and 9 o'clock for a lot of you East Coasters. And we're here with Josh tonight and Ariana. How's it going, Josh?
Going pretty well.
Going pretty well. You sound so excited.
No, I'm all right.
Maybe it's just another tiring day at work?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Well, we're going to have to get revved up because we have an exciting weekend next 2 days, right?
Yep.
What are we going to be doing?
We're going to be at CellCon in Mattoon, Illinois.
And what will we be doing?
We'll be selling and signing our books there, our works, and we will be also doing a special episode of the show with the Wacky Roundtable Bunch composed of Ron Fitzgerald, Brian K. Morris and Charles Masson.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. But first, Friday, the SoCon starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and lasts till 9. At 5 o'clock, Josh and I, Monica O'Leary, Kenny Sills, and Mike Ricksecker will all be part of an authors panel. And Brian K. Morris will be moderating us. Hopefully, he will behave himself and ask us some good questions. And hopefully, they won't be too hard. And then on Saturday, the live podcast, it goes live at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I will warn everyone who listens, I can bet you that those three goofy guys, Brian K. Morris and Ron Fitzgerald and Charles Masson, will probably hijack our show. But that is quite all right because those guys will just talk. And it's hard telling what they will talk about. We will talk about SoCon some. But it's hard telling where the conversation will go from there. And after all that's over with, I'll get a few days of resting. And actually, next week, I was asked to speak at Moultrie County, which is a county that we're in. But believe it or not, our hometown of Arthur is split down into 2 counties. Our main street, Vine Street, splits the town into 2 counties. We have Douglas and we have Moultrie. So we kind of share a lot of things. So I got asked to speak at the Moultrie County Historical Society, and I had to come up with a program. Now, I have read plenty of poetry to people. I've read it at nursing homes. I've visited schools. I've had poetry readings, but I've never had to write a program. But I'm coming up with one, and I'll be speaking, on Thursday evening. It's at 7. It's in a town about 20 minutes away from here. And the name of my program is Rhymes Climbing Through Time. And it's going to be about poetry and how it has been a way of communication and not only just communication for our emotions. And then I'll speak on historical poets, some of my favorites, such as Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, and Edgar Allan Poe. So I'll kind of talk about them, and then I'll read some of my own poetry, and hopefully wrap the program up in 15-20 minutes. Jet back here. So tomorrow, next week, next Thursday night, when you all tune in, Josh and I may not open the show right away. But we will have someone else, possibly a surprise guest, and then they'll be in for a little bit, and then we'll jump in. So in case you don't hear our voices right away, don't be alarmed. We're here. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Except we just don't want to do the show from the car. That would be awkward and illegal.
Not to mention, we might get in a wreck.
No texting and driving, and no talking on the phone while driving. So.
Well, you can if you have a Bluetooth.
Yeah, if you have
Bluetooth.
Don't have
that. I don't have.
Yeah, and you should be paying attention when you drive. You really shouldn't. Even if you have Bluetooth, I still don't think it's good to be having a conversation.
Yeah.
What did the folks do back in the old days before there was even phones that we had in our car? I don't think they were talking on the phone and driving.
No.
No. Although something funny I've seen around here, I've seen Amish talking on the phone while they're in their buggies.
Well, not like they're on a high speed. I mean, the horse can only go so fast.
I know, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
And I think I even saw a buggy that was pimped out before. They actually literally had a boombox in the buggy, and there was a kid. Sometimes the Amish kids will leave home. They will come back to town and dress in what they call English clothes, and but literally he had this huge boombox, and I heard rap music coming out of a buggy, and I was and it was lots of bass. So it's if it's in a rap music video, the buggy would have been bouncing up and down. And I was getting ready, for I don't know, some of the old rap singers to start coming out of the buggy. It was very interesting. But anyway, that's what's going on. So, not only do we have SoCon, I actually have, I'm going to call my first speaking engagement. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm hoping it goes well. And I'm hoping it goes well enough that maybe some other group in the area will ask me to come back. And Lord, I hope I don't bore them to death.
Oh, I don't think you will.
So, what else is going on in your world, Josh?
Well, I've been I'm reading 3 books right now. Sometimes I read multiple books at a time, and like I said last week, I'm reading The Lost Drums by Zechariah Sitchin. Almost got that finished up. I'm also reading that I've been reading for a while. the fourth book in the Star Wars Old Republic series, and it's called what is it? Annihilation. And
Annihilation. Wow. What's that about?
It's about basically, well, the whole, I'd have to get into the whole overarching story, and it's about like the old Sith Empire, and they're about to be annihilated. They're the bad guys, but you know, as we know, and later on in Star Wars, they come back, they return, but eventually. But right now, the Sith is holding in this series. The Sith is ruling over everyone. I mean, well, I mean, the Republic and them have come to a truce, but you know, they're trying to gain a foothold again, but they're gradually, you know, losing.
So it's like a big, huge war.
Yeah, well, Star Wars, you know.
Yeah, duh.
Then I am reading for research, since I am writing the Trelansky saga, which turning it into a story form that I did with my band.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the story arc.
What was the name of that album again?
Oceans Are Now Battlefields.
Okay, and now it's becoming a story.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing it in story form, and the storyline that follows it, you know, because there's going to be albums after that. But anyway, for research, I'm reading. It's called the England and the Spanish Armada: A Necessary Quarrel by James McDermott, and it was a little hard to get into at first. The pace of it and the way the author goes about telling historical events, but eventually you get the hang of it.
Gotcha.
Like with nonfiction books, it's iffy with me, like on how I get into it. Like I can get into a fiction book easy, but nonfiction, it's kind of weird getting the.
And I'm the complete opposite. I can get into nonfiction pretty good, but it depends what type of nonfiction book I'm reading.
You've read some weird ones too. That one about that guy that got what he took like a voyage through the afterlife or something.
Yeah, through his dreams, and I don't know how much of that was exactly real.
How I knew it was completely fake was the description the guy gave of the Vikings. They said they were unkempt and like their hair was bedraggled and all their beards, which is not true because I know I've studied the Vikings. Their beards.
Oh, yeah, they said they were like a mess and they had food all over them. No. Nasty.
The Vikings, that would be like blasphemy for Vikings because their hair and their facial hair were considered to be like their worship of the gods, and so even in their burial tombs they found special buried with them special combs and everything to take care of their. So this guy is full of crap.
You know how he got to these dreams in the first place. He always focused on an acorn. So that makes it even really. So we probably should get on with the program. We're just rambling, but I think I haven't slept very well the last 2 nights. I've literally been staying up past 2 a.m. working on stuff. So I'm kind of rambling. That's why I'm kind of going to give Josh reins on this show tonight. He knows our guest pretty well.
Yes.
So who is our guest tonight, Josh?
His name is Matt Stoyanoff. He is lead singer of the band Fyre. That's Fyre. It's a progressive metal band. And I've been friends with Matt for a while now, 3 years, I believe. And we started out just being friends on the internet and kind of trading CDs, burning CDs and trading them. And then, you know, I found out about his musical work. He was in a band called Burn the Kingdom, which was more of a neoclassical progressive metal band. And I got the first. He sent me the first CD of Fyre called Three Ghosts in it. Awesome. It's pretty amazing. We're going to be talking about that tonight. He also is in a band, metal project called Pensive Fear. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I know we've got some songs played by him tonight too. When we bring Matt on, which it looks like he's ready, we'll get him here in a couple seconds. We do have a song we're going to sample, I think, either in this first hour or the second hour. We're definitely playing one of his songs during break.
Yeah.
I believe it'd be the Ghost song.
Three Ghosts by Fyre.
Yeah, that's what we'll be playing during break. So it looks like Matt has called in. So without further ado, let's bring on Matt. Good evening, Matt.
Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Welcome to Night Moves Radio. We're glad that you came on tonight.
thank you for having me. I'm really anxious to discuss stuff with you two.
Well, Josh has several questions to ask you. He knows your guys' music very well. I have to truly admit, and please don't hold this against me, I'm not a really big metalhead. Josh has tried. I like some melodic rock, so please forgive me.
I'll forgive you.
All right. I have like a few regular writing inspiration questions. He's the one who's getting really detailed.
Well,
so.
I had to be fair, Matt. I have showed her Dream Theater, and she likes Dream Theater. She likes a few metal bands and she likes Dio, and so, but those to her aren't metal. She calls those rock and roll. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Matt.
oh, that's excellent taste. Though. I mean, you like Dio and Dream Theater. Well,
Yeah, I think that's why he let me in. Because I think, probably if I didn't like Dio, I don't know if he would misown me or, disown me or not.
That's a deal breaker right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't tell you who I liked back in the day. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt. Tell our guests who you are and how you've become like a singer. What journey led you to here?
Well, really, I started off in my childhood. I was exposed to a lot of classic rock, mostly Queen and Led Zeppelin. Thanks to my dad. And really from there, I got into high school music and band, jazz band, all that stuff. And just kind of floundering, wasn't really sure what, if anything, I wanted to do with music in my life. And then once I got into college, some guys had me start playing bass in their bands, and that is really when I fell in love with heavy metal. First favorite band was probably Iron Maiden, as is for a lot of people. And then Dio, and then once I discovered Dio, I discovered Rainbow. Mm. And from there, it just, it's like a domino effect. And, trouble with the first band was the singer and guitarist. He had quite a, he was egotistical. That's the kind of way of putting it. And he always thought he was such an amazing singer. And started singing backups. And then everybody started saying, "You sound better than your singer." So I wasn't terribly certain that was the case. And eventually I started getting more confident with it. And then I joined a choir in college for a while. I did some training with a fellow who does some Broadway musicals, and really from there, once I had a legitimate background in singing, I started getting people asking me, "Hey, do you want to come try out for my band?" And then one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, you're just moving on from project to project. And fortunately, though, Fyre has been the most long term for me, and I'd have to say it's probably the best fit for me as well.
Cool.
Now that band you mentioned, was that Burn the Kingdom? No,
that was a band called Arkham. Which, as you can probably guess, I was very much into H.P. Lovecraft in high school and college, and still am. But that's where the inspiration came from. Everybody thought it was named after the
Batman, yeah. Yeah, but like people.
Yeah, right. But
people don't realize that Batman has Lovecraft in it. In certain like nods to it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think people realize how much in pop culture today is, at the very least, an indirect nod or an homage to Lovecraft. So many people don't realize how much in our pop culture that is just, blatantly torn from Lovecraft or one of many other pulp writers.
Exactly. And like, I mean, not to get off on a whole nother tangent here, but like, I think it's amazing. Like, what I've recently found out, like, the whole sword and sorcery genre, like, a lot of that is tied into the Lovecraft mythos, like the stuff about Conan and the stuff about Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and Cole and all that. Like, it's all tied in.
Yeah, I think that's what really adds to the whole world building mystique of it is that, for the most part, Lovecraft created this entirely new genre, cosmic horror. And, of course, he had his inspiration from Gothic literature like Poe and Arthur Machen and also Lord Dunsany. And he kind of took all those influences and wrapped it up, but with much more of a bleak outlook on the universe of these, indifferent gods. I mean, and I think it was such a brilliant discovery, not just because, I and so many other people think so as well, but all these other prolific writers cite Lovecraft as their huge influence, and a lot of them include a lot of his mythos in their own stories, and it really keeps it alive. It keeps putting new blood into it. It's just amazing. It's like a self-propelled machine. It just goes.
Right, and that's the kind of horror I love. Like, a lot of people like she that her and I know, that Ariana and I know, like, seem to equate horror with gore and bloodshed and that kind of thing.
And death.
And death. Well, her and I, like, we know different, and she knows Lovecraft, and she's a big fan of Poe. And I haven't quite introduced her to Arthur Machen stuff yet, but we're the kind of people that we love the supernatural horror and that kind of stuff and the cosmic horror, and we think that is just like defines the genre of horror. I don't know about you, like, but the Poe like horror, the gothic horror, and the cosmic horror, like, to me, like, defines it. Like, I don't know.
No, I agree 100%, and it's very much more with cosmic horror and gothic horror that it really creates this feeling of dread, and that's something that bloody and gory movies don't really convey. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I do enjoy 80s slasher movies and like the splatter stuff, but it just keeps thrill. I'm not looking for anything that's going to cause me to reflect or have any sort of intrinsic value. I'm just looking for like a guilty pleasure for release. But when I read Lovecraft or stories like that, it really makes you reflect on yourself and your life and in the universe that you exist in.
Right.
It's very genuine.
Exactly. So switching gears here, your vocal, you in my opinion, you are an awesome vocalist, great vocalist for progressive metal. Like, you're right. I mean, that genre fits you perfectly with your vocal style. There's no question about it. Who are your great? You're welcome. Who are your greatest vocal influences? Who are your the vocal influences that have really shaped your voice and when you just go out and belt it out? Like, who are you like?
You mean which singers I wish I sounded like?
Well, that and have helped shaped you. Listening to them and everything.
Right. Well, as far as I guess I'll start with my favorite vocalist. That would have to be Michael Kiske of Halloween. Which just a phenomenal singer all around.
Ariana likes his AOR stuff, like the stuff with Plas Vendome.
Yeah, them.
Yeah.
I never can say that right.
Yeah.
I like Heaven's Door especially.
And and he also had that project called Kisky Somerville.
Yeah, she likes that too. Yeah.
But the man, he's, I mean, power metal, AOR, and really even pop. The guy's voice is near flawless.
Mm-hmm.
And even after all these years, he hasn't lost a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't say that about most other singers, you know. And as far as other singers that I admire or that I strive to be like, I would have to say I really love the sound of Ian Gillan's voice.
Ah, yes, the lead singer of Deep Purple. Yeah, not the original lead singer, but the lead singer that Deep Purple is known for, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he did all the I guess the most well known outside of Hush. You know, Smoke on the Water, Space Truckin', Highway Star, all that stuff. And really, to be 100% honest, technically, he was not a great singer in the fact that he was notorious for blowing his voice out while on tour. And that was one of the reasons why Ritchie Blackmore canned him after Who Do We Think We Are, which I think the only well-known song off that album was Woman from Tokyo.
Yeah.
And I really love his falsetto, his scream is just absurd.
Oh, I showed Ariana the song of him doing Christ from Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, that he was originally started, and I was like, my God, you know, the falsetto on that is incredible. I mean, this guy is that guy was he had to inspire like Rob Halford. I mean, that's like people like Rob Halford. That's where that straight came from. I mean, in my opinion, like Ian Gillan like laid the foundation for that. Like I've heard Deep Purple described as proto metal, and yeah, I mean, I can totally see that.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind that Ian Gillan inspired all those guys. Bruce Dickinson actually is a huge Ian Gillan fan, and it's, you know, nobody before Ian Gillan had, you know, belted out those really high falsettos like that, and a lot of people still can't hit a lot of those falsetto notes, like especially in Child in Time. It just gets really up there. That's like
oh yeah, Child in Time, like it's phenomenal. Like, I mean, I hear people talking about, oh, you know, Robert Plant started all the falsettos and everything. Well, Robert Plant's okay. No disrespect to the guy, but I'd like to see him try to sing Child in Time. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Now, I am a big Robert Plant fan, but you know, I just prefer Gillan.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I mean, Gillan has more raw power, I guess. Not that Plant doesn't.
No, absolutely.
Not that Plant doesn't have power. He has power of his own, but Gillan is just, I don't know. It's and that Bruce Dickinson, I can tell he's inspired by Gillan, because on his album, I think it's a Chemical Wedding, his song Confess. I don't know if it's a bonus on that album, but it sounds straight up like he completely channels Gillan. And when I first heard that song, my jaw dropped. I'm like, is Gillan singing on this song? And I looked it up, and it's like, no, it's Dickinson. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, they're actually very close friends. But yeah, he's that. I think the album was In Rock that Bruce Dickinson first heard that I want to be a singer.
Mm. Yeah. Well, so those are your two primary influences, then.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Ah, I see. So, what made you and your bandmates decide to form Fyre? Like, what made you go in the direction you did, that type of progressive metal, versus what you were doing in burn the kingdom? What made you want to go in that creative direction?
Well, honestly, it was. I was friends with some of the guys in the band before we were in the band, and they were familiar with. I had done some singing in my past with some other bands, and really, our rhythm guitarist Sean Stringer just called me up one day and said, "Hey, I'm starting a project. Do you want to come out and try singing?"
Mm.
And I said, yeah, sure, because I was getting the itch to get in the band again and in a little bit, and really anything had been going on around here. So I went out and tried out, and it just kind of fit. He said, here's the concept I have for this album, and this is kind of the song we have so far. See if you can come up with lyrics that fit the story or the idea, and it worked out. And that song was Memo. Actually, the first song we wrote together. But if you were looking from the outside in, and you knew everybody in this band, not in a million years would you say they should start a band, because our background could not be any more different. So you know my background is very much huge into heavy metal, power metal, classic rock, AOR, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then our rhythm guitarist, Sean Stringer, he's very much into, we used to call it emo. I guess it's now called pop punk.
Okay, yeah.
And, don't get me wrong, Sean also enjoys Iron Maiden and things like that, but that, his main thing was pop punk. And then our bass player, Joe, is very much a punk guy, more in the traditional sense. And our guitarist is very blues oriented in his background, Zach. And our drummer, Tanner, he is more of a modern metal drummer. And, so really, you wouldn't think that all these guys would come together, let alone be friends, and make music and, not freak out at each other because you're trying to pull in different directions. Fortunately, we all share enough interest in what we do and what we write that we all push towards the same direction, and it works out. I can't explain how it works out, but it does. And I think one of the big factors is we're all very good friends too.
Yeah, and that's important to have in a band, to make sure you have good relationships. And I think that's I think the most important thing with a band. I've been in a band myself, and I've learned certain lessons sometimes the hard way. That with a band, at least in my opinion, what I've learned is you work on your friendship first, and then the rest of the stuff that comes after. At least in my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, I agree with you 100%. That is the foundation that you have to set for yourself. Otherwise, it's playing music is, other than the whole stress of, setting up shows and promoting and doing your website, whatever, it can be stressful at times. And, it's only a matter of time until people butt heads. And you want to have a stable enough relationship and be comfortable enough with each other so that when those rough patches do hit, which they will, you can move past it and just become a better band and not get hurt and not forgive them or vice versa. You just get over it. Nobody's perfect. You move on. You don't let don't let the small stuff. Don't let it ruin the band. Don't let it ruin your friendship.
Right, and that's just so important. And I'm glad that you have, like, it's cool that you have a diversity of guys with different tastes, because in, like, really honestly looking at it, that's a good thing, because you each bring something different to the table, and then when it's all said and done, like, you create something you have something original to call your own. I mean, that's the way I see it.
That's a really good point. A lot of the people who like us, they one of the frequent compliments or remarks rather is that we don't sound like bands that play around here, or pretty much any bands, and even when they do compare us to other bands, it's never the same comparison. One time somebody will say, "You guys sound like Iron Maiden," and then another time somebody will say, "You guys sound like Rush," and then it'll be Queensryche, and then it'll be Ghost, which was a flattering one. So we knew right there that it wasn't cookie cutter, which has worked to our benefit and then also to our detriment in some cases, because the scene is the scene around here at least is very closed-minded, in that if you don't play, if you say you're a metal band, but you don't play like screaming death metal, then you're not a metal band, and that you're just like a loser who's trying to play Pussy Rock or something. It's not me.
Do they even understand the history of heavy metal at all? I mean, yeah, I know I'm like a huge research dork when it comes to metal and stuff, and I know a lot of bands, but like, come on, you got to at least have to know some history, I mean, we didn't start out all,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what gets to me is that, and just really overall, I'm sure you just kind of you've been in a band, and you've especially being a singer in really like a classical metal band or a classic metal band, and then you run into the guys which they play death metal and everything, which to each their own. I'm not going to judge you for what you listen to. It just may not be my cup of tea, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you as a person based on your taste in music. At least not too much. And all these other bands go around acting like they're the toughest SOBs in the world. Nobody's more hardcore than we are. We're the toughest, baddest guys around. Like, I've heard it 1,000 times from 1,000 different bands. You're just like everyone else. What can you bring that's different and unique to the table, but is still good? Show me something.
Yeah,
show me a good song. Yeah, I see you can sweep on the guitar. I know a lot of people who can play sweeps. Play me something that fits the song. Play me something good.
And it's the type of thing you let the creativity speak for you. You don't have to say a word.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are all talking about, people having different opinions on songs. We actually do have one we can play a little bit during this first half. I believe it's called, is it Fyre by Pensive?
No, it's Pensive. It's by Pensive Fyre, and it's called The Awakening.
So, that way we can let people hear exactly what you guys are talking about. So, Matt, do you mind if we play a little bit of that song?
No, absolutely. Before you start, though, I just want to give a shout out to the mastermind behind Pensive Fyre, who is my dear friend Tom Brown. He is a guitar maestro.
Cool. All right. Well, are we okay to go ahead and play it then, Matt?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Here we go. Is that the right one?
Is it the program? I mean,
I turned it down a little on the program. Is it too low?
no, that's fine. I just heard it kind of overloading before, you know.
I turned it down a little.
Yeah, you did. It's better now.
I'm still trying to figure out this sound thing.
It gets like it gets kind of like, that's my friend Kyle would say, it gets sounding farty whenever.
All right. So what was it?
That was
Okay. What was the name of that again?
The Awakening by Pensive Fear.
All right.
Yeah, Matt, that was amazing. That, like, to me, sounded like a combination between Queensryche and Merciful Fate.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I mean,
thank you very much.
that beginning with your scream and the way the guitar went, like the very beginning, the very intro, like sounded like just like Queen of the Reich off the Queensryche EP. Were you aiming for that, or did that?
You.
Were you aiming for that originally, or did that just come out? Like,
well, I guess I'll give you a background of how that came about in the first place. Through an acquaintance of mine, we were discussing music and just small talk, and she found out I was a singer, and she said, "Oh, my husband is working on his project that he's been trying to put out for a while now, and just can't find singer. You should go over and try out, once I talk to him." So she did, and it turns out, this guy Tom Brown, who is somewhat of a local legend guitar-wise here, there's been a number of bands since the 80s, and very, very well-known local following. And, I remember as a kid going to the music store and sitting there and being in awe of him, and he would just do a lot of demonstrations for people, and he plays a lot like Paul Gilbert.
mm.
And so whenever I found out it was Tom's project, and I heard the songs, I was, count me in and do what I can. And he really, it's his vision for this album. It's somewhat of a concept album about Krakatoa. So basically the eruption and the ensuing tsunami and all the destruction it caused, and the whole story. But he wanted me to sing it very much in a progressive style. He said something along the lines of Queensryche is one good example. And then also, what's the band that did Awaken the Guardian?
That would be, was it, not Crimson Glory, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it had Fate's Warning. Fate's Warning.
Yes, thank you. Fate's Warning. Yes, he's a big fan of Fate's Warning and also the band Vicious Rumors.
Oh yes,
and,
yes.
He said basically, this is the kind of style I want, and here's the lyrics. And he already had God vocals with the general melody idea and syncopation. So, I would just listen to it and then come over, and we recorded it in the studio at his house. And yeah, that was that really. It wasn't a ball to the wall process just because of work and the other band and everything. So I would go over when I had a free day, like a free Saturday, and we would just hammer out a song or two. But I'm very happy that we got that released, and I'm very happy for Tom because he was always afraid that this music, which he probably wrote about 10 years ago, that he was never going to get the chance to get it out there. So I'm really happy we did, and I'm looking forward to recording new stuff with him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any way that you prepare yourself, like before writing a song or even before you start singing, like when you're performing on stage? Do you have some way that you just get yourself ready?
Like a warm-up, so to speak?
Yeah, like a warm-up before you perform, or even like before you start writing. Like before I start writing, I write poetry. Like I have a playlist I kind of listen to sometimes, kind of gets me in the mode. So I guess,
Okay.
like maybe a way that you prepare before you start writing, and then maybe a warm-up before you start actually performing.
Okay. Well, as far as before writing, I unfortunately am cursed with a brain that never stops processing things.
I know how
so
that is.
also means insomnia and anxiety.
Uh-huh.
But I'm always thinking about what most people would consider silly or arbitrary things. And I enjoy reading a lot of fantasy and science fiction, obviously. But before I write, I really try to just clear my mind and maybe listen to music, maybe not. But the biggest thing for me is before I write, I want to change my perception of what it is on a daily basis. So I just try to take a step back from my life and take a look at things from a different point of view. And usually that's where I find that I get a good amount of inspiration, and I can come to the table with a fresh mind and ready to write lyrics. But I'm not saying I don't have like I'm sure you do sometimes, like a writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen, and it sucks. But usually I just need to change my perspective on things. And a lot of the time just get outside and enjoy nature.
Yeah, that's a good way how I kind of like try to clear my mind. I, like you, my mind is always going. It's hard to shut down, and it is hard to go to sleep too. And like I understand about changing your perception, because like that's how I like what I do when I have my playlists that I listen to. Like I try to put myself in a different, I don't know, like not like environment or a different mindset so that I can get to where it is I want to go. And so I understand about changing your perception.
Absolutely.
Because like it seems to be the only way I can quiet my mind.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as far as before performance, to be honest, I really don't do any physical warm ups. Some people may say you're an idiot or otherwise, but I've had a number of different vocal coaches, and some swear by warm ups, and some say, yeah, just don't drink milk or eat any dairy the day of the show. Make sure you're hydrated, and you'll be fine. And really, unless I'm having trouble with my voice or a sore throat or something, or I'm very funny, I don't have to do a warm up. Most of my warm up takes place in my mind.
Yeah.
Where this may sound silly, but I use a lot of visualization techniques before I play a show, where I'll imagine that this is the last show I'm ever going to play, and like so to speak, I'm going to die after the show. And how do I want to leave the world? Do I want to leave it with a mediocre performance, or do I really want to give it 110%? And convey to the audience how much passion I have for the music I'm playing. It's not just going through the motions. I want to get out there and I want to really show, what we've created and how much I love it, and I want you to enjoy it too. And like a big thing with our band is, yes, we're musicians and we play music, but that's only half the job. The other half is you're an entertainer. You're supposed to be there to entertain people. You got to put on a show, and for us that means getting a little bit into theatrics with props and acting things out on stage, and really, I just want to put on a kick-ass show that I want people to enjoy and come away from saying, I really, I had a great time at your show. Even if they don't like the music, we've had people who say, I'm not really into heavy metal or anything, but you guys are really entertaining. And that's like an awesome compliment for me.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, pretending that it's like, the last thing you'll ever do means, sometimes when I'm trying to write, I try to, decide, is this how I want to leave the world if I were going to die? I want it to be something good, which makes me really super picky.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, that is it isn't silly at all. I mean, that's how I always wondered how bands and singers, how they get up there and kind of perform like the same set a lot. I know it's always different with the audience and the crowd because, the bands that like go on tour, you're like, wow, how do they go and do like the same show, like, time after, day after day or a couple days later, the same exact thing. But, it's always different with your atmosphere and the crowds. But then if you have that mindset, hey, this could be the last show I ever do, then it makes you, go for all your best. So it totally makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, in all honesty, nobody on this earth knows what tomorrow will bring. So you kind of have to live like every day is your last. And it's, you hear it a lot, but once you start living that way, you realize that you were never really living before.
Yeah, totally. We're getting into the end of the first half. We pretty much are. We're gonna play another one of your songs during the break. Josh, what's the name of the song that we're gonna play?
It is the title track off the album Three Ghosts by Fyre.
Matt, do you have anything you want to say before we play it?
I guess I'll give a quick overview of the album and the whole concept behind it. It's very Faustian in nature, about a boy making a deal with the devil, and this is where the story comes to a head. It's also the final track of the album. It's very much a bleak ending. It kind of leaves it on a cliffhanger, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, great. Well, we'll take a mini break and we'll play Three Ghosts.
Three Ghosts.
All right.
Red Garden, people dying, they play for his eyes. Amen. Takes her out, pull the trigger, drop it through the ground. Lord bless, gunfire, my body bleeds and expires. My soul falls down into darkness without sound. My three ghosts follow me into hell. My adventure turns up deadly spell. No reason. Burn up, we press ahead. Fall in death. Lift up. One of the dead. Pray. Clap down. Motored up, fire man, my lights on, let it rain. I'm blind, so I know the way, no heaven, no earth.
Holly liked this post, and I didn't mean it for the reason she probably liked it. She hit love on that post. I know why she probably did it. Probably because she thought, oh, he's talking about me with my job in the library. No, I didn't mean it.
Is that like breaking up, or is that what's supposed to know?
It's weird. I don't know what's going on.
Is it over?
No, not yet.
It's weird.
It's 6 minutes long.
Oh. Yeah, that timer is really off. Because I had it, we still had like 10 minutes left, and that didn't. So I'm just trying to watch that too. It's death metal vocals. I know. What? Yep. All right, we are back after that break. That was Matt Stoyanoff with Where He Goes.
By Fyre.
By Fyre. All right. Welcome back, Matt.
Hello.
We had to have a little bit of break so everyone could take a breather just for a few minutes, so that always works.
Mm-hmm.
Now I noticed in that song and in some other song, a couple other songs on the album that you did some death vocals. Have you ever thought about going into any project? Do you think you could do pure, like, straight up death metal or melodic death metal vocals, or not?
Yeah, I thought about it. I guess the reason that, it hasn't happened is the opportunity hasn't presented itself, and I do enjoy adding in, some death metal here and there to convey the mood of the song, or what we're trying to shoot for. But I like being able to express through lyrics and styles of singing more than just being relegated to well, this is death metal, so I got to sing death metal the whole album. Although, I would certainly give it a shot if I was interested in the project, or if it was a concept album. I'm a huge sucker for concept albums.
Oh, yeah.
I have a little bit of a question, and excuse me, like I said, I'm not a metalhead, and I'm sure it's something I could ask Josh, but since you are a singer, I'm going to ask you. So
Okay.
what exactly, and don't be offended, I'm curious, what exactly is the concept behind death metal vocals? I mean, what does one do to one's voice in the first place to do it? And I heard you say it creates atmosphere. And no offense to me, like sometimes, and I'm really sorry, like when I hear it, it actually kind of scares me a little. So like, I guess what does it like bring to a song? What's the concept behind it?
Well, for the first part here, to properly do it without tearing up your voice, a lot of people think you have to really sing aggressively and hard, which is the opposite of what you want to do, because you don't want to strain, especially when you're slapping your vocal cords together like that. That's a good way to blow out your voice.
Wow.
You just got to relax and basically just make sure you're singing from your diaphragm, from your stomach, and relax your throat. And it should, for the most part, be pretty effortless. You just have to get good at at the actual act of singing death metal, because a lot of times you'll try to start singing something with growls, and your voice is, isn't used to it. You'll crack or squeak or sound like you're going through puberty again. Now, as far as the atmosphere aspect, it's the reason that I say about creating an atmosphere there is, for the most 99% of the album, it's for the most part clean singing, falsettos and stuff. But really, when you want to grab somebody's attention, that's a great way to do it. But on the other side of the coin is, if it's a complete death metal album, that's going to be the whole album. And from their perspective, I mean, this is my interpretation of it, they're just trying to convey this idea of, this is really brutal. And it's so brutal that we're going to sing the whole album like death metal. Not that, I've got a lot of respect for a lot of death metal bands, but they're just trying to convey this, it's so bleak and dark and death and everything is going to die, or else, there's actually some quite intelligent death metal bands too, like Necrophagus and Death, the late Chuck Schuldiner. And they would actually do death metal, but the lyrical content was oftentimes very philosophical or political in some cases. So, I think it just depends on your taste a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And, but whenever you're not doing it all the time, it's a great way to change the setting, to alter the mood, if you will.
So would you say that death metal vocals is like an art form?
Yeah.
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount what death metal vocalists do, because I am far from a great death metal singer. But it's a lot easier to learn the technique to sing death metal than it is to sing with your normal register, your chest voice, your head voice, your falsetto, and all those other different regular quote unquote aspects of the voice. There's a lot more to cover there, and there's a lot more different techniques to use. And if you're not feeling so great and you have phlegm, or even your technique's not perfect, you can still, if you know what to do for the most part, you can still sing death metal pretty well. But there's a big difference between growling and then me trying to sing "Eagles Fly Free" by Halloween Live. There's a big difference. It's that that's like comparing a Toyota to a Corvette, I guess.
Well, you keep talking about like the physical aspects, but you said too they use it to create atmosphere. So I would be led to believe that when you're doing those, especially if it's not something you do all the time, I would think you would have to put yourself, because you said you have to relax. I would think you would have to kind of get in a right mental frame to like go there, to be able to do it if you want to create like an atmosphere, right?
Yeah, it's kind of very much counterintuitive because, well, for the most part, when we're doing songs where I do any growling live, I have to do like a quick mental prep before that part of the song comes up. I'm like, all right, I want to look like I'm really pissed off. I want to convey that with my facial expression, but then I'm also like, don't tense your throat. Breathe through your stomach, bear down, let your stomach do the singing, and then I kind of let myself off the leash and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, singing, not only is it a physical thing, it really is a big mental thing as well.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Especially, in the studio, you can, if you have like a bad take or something, it's half-hearted, or you think you can do better, you can always do it again, do it again, do it again. Mm-hmm. Live, you have to get as close to the right thing as you can on the first try.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot more pressure there, but you just do the best you can do, and honestly, don't sweat the small stuff. There's no such thing as a perfect show.
Oh no, I mean, there's never a perfect show for anybody.
No, yeah.
But sometimes you just take those little mistakes and you go with the flow, and sometimes it might make it better or kind of give you a chance to breathe. And if you have a great audience, they can kind of laugh about it, and then you go on.
Oh, that's a huge part of being able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started singing and getting up in front of people to perform, I was petrified. Usually just, everybody has that fear of public speaking or anything public where all the attention is focused on you. It is terrifying to start, but eventually you just come to realization. You come to accept that you are a human being, you are flawed, and you just do what you're going to do. Be genuine about it, and don't take yourself too seriously.
That is great advice, definitely. I'll try to remember that when I'm doing my speaking thing next week.
Easy to say, hard to put into practice.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Easy advice to give. It's really easy advice to give about, don't take yourself too seriously. But when it's you giving yourself the advice, it's never that simple.
Oh, you are for sure on that one. All right, Josh, I'm giving it the mic, the invisible mic. Back to you.
Okay. All right. So in your vocals on the album, on the Fyre album, I heard primarily like influences of Geddy Lee from Rush, David Taylor from Jacob's Dream, a bit of James Rivera from Hellstar, and even a bit, believe it or not, of Vince Neil from Motley Crue, like the old school Motley Crue, before they kind of sold out.
Oh, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. So did you mean it all to turn out that way? Is that what you like it? But or did it just come out that way? I mean, were you aiming for a particular style with your vocals, a particular way to sound, or did it just come out like that?
Well, I guess it's not an easy yes or no answer to that. There's a number of variables there, as I'm sure you're aware, but really with this project, with this band project, I can't exactly, with the type of music that we're playing, I can't exactly just go for a power metal sound. It would just, in my opinion, it wouldn't fit the song well. And so I think to myself, well, what would best complement the song? And, what I came up with as far as what I was inspired to sing and what everybody else's influence in the band kind of pushed me towards was that Geddy Lee sound.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, it just fits the music, and also sometimes that's just the way it turns out too. Just you have some control over it consciously, but subconsciously, there's so many things at play here that I think it's more the people who are in the band and the style of music they like kind of determines more than necessarily what I'm shooting for, what it ends up sounding like versus Pensive Fear, which Tom said, I want a very progressive metal sounding. I'm like, all right, I can do that. And that's what we got. And also, it's very different music, so that was definitely a factor in pushing me towards which direction I would sing it in,
Mm. So Pensive Fear would be the, I don't know, like would it be more aggressive than your work in Fyre? Like your vocal work in Pensive Fear, is it more aggressive, or is Fyre more aggressive for you? Like just the style overall. Like if you were to pick one or the other, which is more quote unquote aggressive or heavier or whatever, intense.
Boy, that's a tough one. I guess technicality-wise, the stuff I'm singing with Pensive Fear, usually I'm hitting higher notes in Pensive Fear stuff, but I'm not. I'm also not doing anything overtly aggressive like death metal vocals in Pensive Fear. That's just what we had for Slice and Fyre. But
Mm-hmm.
The second album that Fyre is working on is even more proggy than the first album, and it actually has some very, very high notes in it, which I think is, harder to sing than most of the stuff in Pensive Fear. But overall, I'd probably have to say Fyre.
Okay.
Just because of the death metal vocals aspect and the new material we've been writing lately.
Well, this new material, I'm not going to make you say a whole lot about it, of course, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But is it a concept album too?
You bet your britches it is.
Very cool. Very cool. So you gave us kind of an idea about what Three Ghosts is about. It's about, you said it's a Faustian type story. It's a story about a boy who makes a deal with the devil. Why does he make this deal with the devil? What is he trying to get?
Okay. Well, the idea of the story is, and this was conveyed to me by our rhythm guitarist Sean whenever I went to try out. He said, I want to do an album where the general plot is this boy. He's an only child. He lives with his mother, and she's dying from a terminal illness.
Mm.
And he basically laments that nobody can do anything, and so he wants to make a deal with the devil. So I took that and just added some numerology for good measure, and went down that road. And basically, there's this boy, protagonist, who doesn't have a name, doesn't really need to have a name for that matter. And we've all had somebody in our lives, unless you're a sociopath, who you have loved, and you would, for many of those people, you would do anything to make them happy, to keep them alive, and that's basically what this boy does. He laments that God's not answering his prayers, and there's no subtext there. It's just the story.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically says, well, God won't answer. I'll make a deal with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil answers him. And he says, I will bring your mother back to life, or I will keep her alive, so to speak, if you murder 3 people
Mm-hmm.
so that I can have your soul.
Mm-hmm.
See, at the moment, his soul is too pure for the devil to take it. So he says you need to basically dirty your spirit by murdering people and doing something awful.
Mm-hmm.
And he does. He goes through, certain songs will tell you the story of who he murders next, chronologically. And then once he does, over the course of these 3 murders, he discovers that he's changing not only spiritually but also physically. And these manifestations take shape as his hands turn into like these deformed claws, and his eyes turn yellow and have that predatory slit, like a cat, so to speak. And then the devil comes and brings his mother back to life. She just passed away at this point, and she wakes up, opens her eyes, and sees this monster before her, which is her son. She doesn't recognize him. And she starts flailing her arms and screaming hysterically, and the son tries to hold her down, but his lust for murder takes it over and he ends up killing her.
Wow.
So he, obviously has a mental snap and goes in and terrorizes the town in which they live until the authorities show up and shoot him down. And then he ends up going to hell, where he is tormented by the 3 people he murdered. And they follow him all throughout hell. That's where 3 goes in. And he goes through hell trying to find the devil so that he can seek his revenge.
Oh my gosh, that is chilling. That sounds like something straight out of a King Diamond album, right there.
It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I would think
it's very, very much.
I would think though that and maybe this is just me viewing things from the brighter end of things, but I would think that eventually what would happen would be his good side would take over, his side that wanted to sacrifice himself for his mother, and he would like kind of be redeemed of what happened in a way.
Absolutely. And the thing about this album is, down the road, what we want to do is we want to revisit this where it leaves off the cliffhanger and then see it through in a second installment.
Ah, I see. So that the second one is going to be a continuation of the story.
The second album?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no?
That's probably going to be, it's probably going to be more down the line, like the 3rd or 4th album. But it's very, our timeline is very Quentin Tarantino-esque. So, yeah, next album, we're taking a break from the whole devil thing, and we're going off in a very cosmic direction.
So more Lovecraft style stuff.
You got it.
I see. And I'll be eagerly awaiting that. That'll be incredible. I mean, anything Lovecraft, I'm pretty much down for.
Yeah, amen to that.
and I gotta tell you, I absolutely loved the cover art for your album. It's like very much like something that would be in a comic book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who did your cover art, and who came up with the concept for it?
Well, our rhythm guitarist Sean Stringer came up with the concepts for what he wanted it to look like, because it was basically his creative child. It was his seed that kind of started this whole thing, and I can't recall the name of the individual who illustrated it, but he's a very good friend of Sean. And Sean asked him, he said, "Hey, if I had this idea for an album cover for this album, would you be able to draw it?" And basically Sean, came to me and said, what parts of the story do you think we should use to help, my friend illustrate what the cover and the back should be, and so we ended up picking the house or the mansion where the boy lives with his mother, and using that as the background or on the back slab, and the front just has become known as our band logo now, or at least for the time being, with the devil on one side, the boy on the other.
That's what I pretty much garnered, that it was the boy and the devil, because like I didn't know the whole story. I guess do you have your lyrics online? Like, do you have your lyrics so people can view them online to see what the story's about?
That is a very good question, and no, we don't at the moment, but I do have them typed up. I just need to upload them to our Bandcamp, and I'll probably just fire it on the Facebook too, so that it's easy to find.
Well, I apologize.
But yeah,
because I didn't know that the whole album was a concept album. I didn't know, but I did know that, like, I did hear in the first song, the song that you put on your Facebook. So that's what I imagined the cover to be about. So, but that is awesome that it's a concept album, and you guys are doing the whole concept album thing. That's just incredible, and what a chilling story. I mean, it's just and I think it just ends on a note that's just so grim and just terrifying, and it's just something that after you listen to it and know the story, you're just like, wow, that's just so like you've been through something, I mean, something you can really take home.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's what we want. We like, I guess the way I look at it is, this is somebody else's album. Like, for instance, whenever King Diamond puts out an album, I always love to know the story, and it's so entertaining where every song is like its own chapter, and you just follow it through, and you're basically getting a story told to you with awesome music. And that's kind of why I always go for the whole concept album idea, and for the most part, people like it. It works especially well with metal, as you know. I mean, you've done your own concept album.
Yeah. That was meant to be that was meant to be a 3-parter, but things didn't work out. But it would have been pretty cool if it did. But but like you said, I mean,
Speaking of,
go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead and finish your thought. Mine's on a little tangent. You go ahead.
Oh, what I was saying was, like you said, I mean, sometimes you get those you butt heads a little bit, and drama happens, and all that good stuff, and not everything you hope to happen happens, but
that's the way the dice roll, man. And it's happened to me plenty of times before. But I was gonna say, in the future, I'd like to have you. I could either come out there, or you can come out here and do some guest vocals if you'd like.
I'd love to. I'd love to. That would be awesome.
I'd like to have the Hell Rider on one of my albums.
I'd be honored. I would truly be honored. So and speaking of collaborations, okay, like just entertain me here for a minute. Like, if dream scenario, if you could sing lead with any heavy metal or hard rock band, who would it be? Just anyone.
If I could sing vocals for any band?
Yeah, any band that's out there.
Ooh. Give me a few seconds on this one. I would probably go with Halloween, only because... No, wait, I take that back. I would probably pick Avantasia or Arion.
Both great concept bands.
Just so that I could get to meet, a couple dozen absolutely world-class musicians.
Yeah.
And, I have a lot of respect for Tobias Salmon of Avantasia. He writes great concept work, and a little bit more, power metal, and sometimes even very AOR. But still awesome nonetheless. I love it. And then also Arjun Anthony Lucasen, the mastermind behind Arion and Star One and all that. He's just a genius.
Oh yeah, he is.
And I would love to sing on one of his pieces.
Yeah.
Hey Matt, I got a thought question for you.
Okay.
In 1 to 3 sentences, describe what music means to you.
Describe what music means to me in one sentence?
In 1 to 3 sentences.
Oh, 1 to 3 sentences. Okay.
Yeah, I give you a little extra. I was just going to say one sentence, so you got lucky.
All right. Music to me is the auditory embodiment of our innermost artistic being.
Say that one more time.
Music to me is the auditory manifestation of our innermost being.
Oh, I like that.
Of who we are. It's basically here. It's a very personal thing. It's very here is my soul. Here is something I've created, basically a part of me, and me and the people you play music with. We created this together. It's almost like you had a kid together in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess you hear a lot of bands like, this is our baby. It really is. You devote a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you really hope that you're proud of what you've done, and when you are proud of what you've done, you've accomplished something significant there.
Oh, definitely. I totally feel that way when I write a poem or a collection or a book, so I totally agree. And then I got one last thought question for you, Matt. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Okay. What kind of mark would you like to leave on the world with your music? Like, what would you want to be remembered for most?
Ooh. I would like to be remembered as somebody who brought compelling and fanciful or fantastic stories to life that spoke to people. I want to be remembered for creating art that really speaks to people and influences them in a positive light. I don't want to be the source of anybody's hate or malice. I want to bring people enjoyment, and even if that's just an escape from their daily life, I want to be remembered as the one who was able to provide that to them. Even, I don't care if they buy the music or anything. If they hear the music and it speaks to them, then I feel that I have done what I consider to be my purpose on earth.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Very well said.
Well,
Thank you.
is there anything else you'd like to say? We're getting down to about like 10 minutes. The timer was a little different than what I've got, so it's actually something we have. Well, it's counting down 11 minutes and 40 some, 30 some seconds. So, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to mention, to the guest while you're on here, Matt?
Really, I would just like to tell people is that I don't mean to have this come off as cheesy, but don't be ashamed of what you love or who you love, and especially the type of music you're into. I know that it's not in vogue to be all about heavy metal, especially more classical metal stuff. But love what you love. Embrace that side of yourself. Don't try to fit yourself into these preconceived molds that people just put, like, oh, you're a guy, so you must like country or rap music or pop music, or you're a girl, you must love pop music and getting tipsy at the club. No, don't fall for that. People who listen to this type of music are generally too smart to anyway. But love what you love who you love, enjoy yourself. Don't live your life trying to please other people. Just let people go about their business and hope that they let you pursue and love what you want to do.
Well said. That's pretty cool. Definitely.
Oh, and also, if you like music you heard, check us out on Facebook.com/Fyre the band. That's Fyre with a Y and an umlaut, but you don't have to type the umlaut. That'd be a giant pain in the ass. Also, if you like what you heard with Tons of Fear, check us out on Facebook. Again, that's Facebook.com/Tons of Fear. Also, both bands are on Bandcamp, iTunes, pretty much every other medium of music out there. If you search for it, you'll find it.
So people can buy your music online?
Oh, yeah. You can buy the album online. You can buy a physical copy or a digital copy to download. You can also buy T-shirts. And, really, we're the kind of guys where you can just send us an email. We'd be more than happy to chat with you about anything, or if you have questions or stuff you want to know, or any of it. Just send us an email. We're not going to be pretentious dicks about it. We'll answer your questions. And we love talking to people who share our passion, especially for music. And really, the last thing I have to say is thank you to you two for allowing me to come on and enjoy your show and be a part of it. I really do appreciate it, and I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for you two as writers and as people.
Well,
and really, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to come on here and talk about what I love.
Well, you're quite welcome. That's what we're here for.
It has been, it's been awesome, man. It's been an honor, and you have this personality that just radiates from you, and it's just wonderful to talk to you, and you have this insight you're wise beyond your years. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, most definitely. I can see you're very kind, and you have a very open mind, and I like the way you think. So, you're very awesome. I like, what you've had to say.
And I also want to add that if it's okay with Ariana, of course, in your future endeavors, whenever you release another album and release the next chapter in the story about the boy and the devil, you're more than welcome to come back. We would love to have you back on the show, and perhaps other members of your bands as well.
Oh yeah, they're more than welcome to come on. We could have a whole roundtable discussion. It would be fun.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I'll let you know when we have the new material out, and next time I'll bring a little friend with me or two.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, you and your little friends. I can be quite a goofball. I'm quite sorry.
Oh no, I can appreciate your goofiness. I'm quite a goofball as well.
Awesome. We are down to 5 minutes. Any other last questions, last words?
Well, Matt, I have one last question for you here. If you could
Okay.
if you could like if there are any, let's say there are any musicians out there who are listening that are aspiring musicians and really want to get into this underground metal scene, and really want to make a difference, but let's say they're just feeling kind of discouraged, or what would your advice be to them?
If they're feeling discouraged,
If they're
like they don't have.
yeah, like if they're feeling discouraged or not feeling up to the task, what if you were to say any motivational words to them, what would you say for encouragement?
Well, first of all, I would probably ask them a couple questions. If they're playing the music they want to play, and if so, are they playing with like-minded people who also want to push in the same direction? And if the answer to both of those questions is yes, then really you're doing what you love. You're doing what you love with people that you love, and the only roadblock in your way is yourself. And that's a common problem with musicians. It's a crippling self-doubt that can just eat away at you. At any artist, really.
Mm-hmm.
You always. I know I've been there. Like, well, people won't like it. They'll think it's stupid, or they, nobody's gonna like it. I'm gonna be a loser, whatever, blah blah blah. And as much as people say, like, I don't care what people think, that's not true. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't care what people think. So really, you just need to have faith in yourself. If you love what you're doing, if you're with people who support that and want the same thing as you do, then you just need to put the time in, practice, get better at what you do, and just get out and play for people.
Mm-hmm.
Get comfortable with it. Come up with your own story. As long as you're doing what you love, it'll eventually come full circle in the end, and you'll find yourself, a couple of years down the road, and you'll be like, wow, people actually like what I'm doing, and then you'll get that support from people in your community, and then you'll realize, like, well, I never really should have doubted it. I just had to keep pushing forward.
Cool. Great advice, Matt. Again,
Yeah.
We really do thank you for coming on the show. We're down to pretty much the niche here. Where we look forward to having you back, and thank you again.
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you too very much. You guys have a wonderful evening, and God bless.
You too.
God bless you.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Because, my clock says something different, and that says something different. I don't know what's up.
Thank you for tuning in to Night Moves Radio. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. Remember to join us at our church daily, 8 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
That was a great show.
Yeah, but the time was like totally off.
You did a great job with your questions.
I know. I didn't say thank you. I know I didn't say much, but thank you.
But it was perfect. I loved it. It was our best show yet.
Yeah, I'll have to tell Howie the questions were like so, like the timing was like really off.
Who's next week? Do you know?
It's one of the poor people. Hold on a second. I think it's that Ermish or something from one of the people that interviewed me. Give me just a second, I'll tell you. Yeah, because like we literally have like 15 minutes left, and it counted down.
Okay.
See, and it's already to the next show, and it's weird.
That program sucks.
Yeah. I sent Howie a message telling him. I need recent cereal. My stomach is like saying it's hungry.
Oh.
And Ruba, I gotta ask her how to say it. Ruba from the book club. She like has that website. She like interviewed me with my books
Oh,
after,
okay.
and she does different books and stuff. I'll have to tell her like she'll be on like when we get back. I don't understand the timing on it though. Yeah, because it only says 1 minute and 39 seconds.
I'm sure Howie can get it figured out.
Well, it's Blog Talk Radio. I don't really know. I mean, 1 hour. Yeah. Let's ask this little group if anyone's having trouble with the timer.
Is it Rubina Ramesh?
Yeah.
Okay. And she's from the book club.
Uh-huh. Okay. Howie says next time, if we does that, don't pay attention to timer. He said actually it can go into archives and you can keep talking after after the timer stops.
Okay. Is that her fourth show?